Oh, okay, gotcha. You want to let me know if it's working? It says it's live now, so. Oh, hey, what do you know?
Is it working?
All right. He's got to get everybody over here to start a new session. Ow. That's why I should grab away with that.
Sorry. I just, was I supposed to?
9:30. Oh, that was stressful.
Yeah. Hopefully you haven't. Huh? Hopefully you haven't.
One more.
No, because I know one time you kind of did, and it really was obvious. So I'm kind of just putting down questions that I think, or things that you want to talk about. Like, what do you include in the ad? The price, but you know what I mean? Did you write any of that down? Square foot, does it have a basement or garage? Does it have good schools?
All right, he's trying to get everybody over. Bear with us if anybody can see me. He's trying to, we had to restart a new session here to make this work. He's trying to get everybody that was on the old one into the new one. So give us a few moments, please. Thanks for your patience.
He said, looking good, people are coming over.
All right, let's just give it a few more minutes. People are getting swapped over here, so to speak. So hope everybody's enjoying their summer so far. We're up here in Michigan. It's summertime, been pretty warm, and we've been enjoying some time at the cottage with the family. So hope everybody else has been having a good time so far. All right, I don't know if we should get started now, or Julie?
Yes.
Well, we are live, I guess, and he's trying to still switch people over, but we can probably go ahead and get started since we're so late already. We're going to talk about some marketing and the marketing of and selling of your wholesale and retail deals and the different ways that you want to do that. I know we've talked about this before.
He said, look up.
And we used to start off doing our ads saying we want to sell a wholesale and or a retail property. One of our main venues we used to do was, of course, Craigslist and Postlets. Well, as you all probably know, if you've been using Postlets, that was kind of bought out by Zillow, and that switched over. But now you can still open a Zillow account and create an account just like you did with Postlets. It was a little bit different format, but once I've done it a few times, it was much easier to figure out. It was, a little bit different, but once you get your ad on there, you can still copy and paste everything from Craigslist over to the Zillow ad, just like we did Postlets. Or I think or you can do it vice versa. I think even if you want to set up your Zillow ad first, I think there may be a link there to set it up in Craigslist, just like it used to be similar in the Postlets program. But we still use those for a lot of our properties. I mean, I'll put all my deals on there. And then we also have our website, which I don't normally put my wholesale deals on my website. I'm usually making the Zillow ads and or the Craigslist ads, and I'll send a link from Craigslist. You can copy and paste the link from your Craigslist ad, and you can just pop that in an email and send that to your buyers list. Okay, so they can click on that link and view all the information that you wanted to give them. The thing is, now things have changed so much, and there's so many people that are buying properties, especially like wholesale deals, that what I do now is, the buyers that I will give them all the detailed information as far as, what's the rent going to bring, what's the rehab going to cost, what's the taxes, what's the insurance, property management, if you're going to include that. So we include all the costs in there, and to get your cash on cash return based on the price of the home and all the other fees that go along with that. But I also now create a second ad with all the same pictures and the information of the house, and I do not include the cap rate or what the taxes, what the insurance is. I may include what it'll rent for, but I'm very minimal on that information because there are so many people. It seems that buy properties that they don't even care about that information, and so I just create two separate ads. Of course, my buyers that I've been working with for years now, I want to give them the complete information because they want to know that. Okay, but there are a lot of buyers out there right now that are coming into the market that want to get into the game. So I'll do the two different ads, and what I just recently did, again, I've done this in the past, but I had a wholesale property. I got locked up. When did I get that one locked up? Like
Thursday?
Like last Thursday. And what you can do with what I'm going to tell you is this is a great idea to do, even if you do not have a house. It's kind of like a ghost ad, but it will build your buyers list. I put out just 5 signs, okay? And what I wrote on it was, and you want to put these in the area, where your buyers may be looking. So for example, this is what I put, like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home, full basement, must sell by Wednesday, $38,000 cash only. I only put up 5 signs. I'm not kidding you. And where I put them at was in the area, in the city of the area of the property. They had them under contract. I put 2 at a Lowe's, at the the exits of the Lowe's stores, and also there's actually a Home Depot real close to that. I put 2 at the exits of the Lowe's, and I think I popped 1 more at the corner of the main road. Okay, and I didn't put those signs out until Saturday morning. Those went out. I'm talking 5 signs. So this is crazy. I probably had. I'm still getting the sign. The house is sold. Believe me, I sold that house in 2 days. It was a great deal, but I'm still getting calls. And if the signs are going to stay out there, what you do when people call in, of course, even if you didn't have a house, you take their information. Yes, I had that house, but we sold it quick. It was a great deal. But if you're an investor, let me get your information. And the next deal I get, I will email it to you and contact you right away with the details of the next deal. Our properties are hot, they go fast. So it's a great way to build your buyers list. I think out of 5 signs, I probably got what sounds like possibly 5 or 6 good buyers leads. And oddly enough, I probably got about 4 or 5 supposedly retail buyers that have cash also that are just looking for a house for themselves. And I have sold a property before that I had under contract as a wholesale deal, and I did sell it to a retail buyer. So that can happen as long as they got cash and they understand. The only problem I ran into with that is a lot of the retail buyers don't understand assignments of contracts or double closes. And in fact, one time, the property I had under contract was a private owned home. I think it was an estate sale. I had locked up with the realtor. She was actually the broker. And then when I was going to assign the contract to it, this was the retail buyer. And when I was trying to do that, the broker says, "You can't do that. That's illegal." I says, "No, it's perfectly legal. We do it all the time." And I was surprised to hear that from a broker. She hung up the phone. She goes, "Let me check with my attorney." 5 minutes later, she called me back. "Oh, I guess you can do that." I said, so yeah, I was surprised that the broker didn't know that. But as long as we can try to educate people and make the process go smooth, it's a win-win. But just like I said, on those signs, it's a great way to get rid of a wholesale property or even a retail, but to find cash buyers to add to your buyers list. I haven't done it in a while, and that's why, like I said, I put out 5 signs, and it's a crazy response on those. I mean, it really is. So that's one thing we do. But, and then as far as retail properties, if you got we do a lot of fix and flips as well as wholesale deals, and of course we're always putting them on Postlets and Zillow. And then we also say if you want to list your house to get maximum exposure, you want to sell it quick. Our properties, we want to get them out the door as quick as we can, and so we do list them on the MLS with a realtor as well. However, there's a couple different things how we do this. We use, and they probably have this in many other areas, I'm not sure, but here in Michigan, what they call a flat fee service. So for, say, a fee of like $350, I can pay to get my property listed on the MLS, which when they list it on the MLS, it also goes to a bunch of other websites, kind of like Postlets or Zillow does, right? And so for like about $350, and then I also, of course, you have to pay the buyer's agent, so 3%, but you're basically saving 3% on the listing cost, less $350. Now, the only issue with that is, which is fine, I've done it for years now, is when you do the flat fee service, you've got to take all the calls and the email. So they do set it up where you can, they can go online and try to do a showing request, and then it'll automatically email you, at least with the system that we have. And then you can just respond via text or whatever with the lockbox code and information if it is a buyer's agent. Of course, when you list it like that, you also have the full right to sell it yourself and pay nobody commission. So at the same time, we have it on the MLS with the flat fee service. This is what's great about the flat fee service. You're not locked into paying somebody 3 or 6%, because if you bring your own buyer, the only fee that you've got out for a real estate fee is your $350 you pay for the flat fee service. So that's really a good deal. However, we've come to the point where we've got extremely busy. I'm trying to streamline our business the best we can, and so not to take as many calls if we don't have to here in the office. So I have another agent locally that will do a different type of flat fee service, and then you can talk to your agent and see if they can do this for you. I get him $1,000 for the flat fee service, and he'll list it, but he takes all the calls and handles all the showings. I don't do anything. So for an additional $650, to me, it's worth it at this point. You know what I mean? That I don't have to deal with any of the calls or set up the showings or anything. And then, of course, if he sells it, he still gets the 3% as the buyer's agent. So when they do the flat fee service for $1,000, he'll also do open houses in the hopes, getting people in there and selling the home themselves and getting, the additional 3%. So I got an agent that works real hard and you can talk to your local agents and see what they can do for you. I know I have some properties up in northern Michigan, and they're not real hip on doing that program at all. So the different areas are different. Okay, so but you can just Google flat fee service in your particular area and see maybe somebody will offer that, or talk to your local agent to see if they can work something out with you. Especially if you're doing multiple deals, they may be saying, well, if I can get $1,000 listing fee, multiple times, it may be worth it to them. And also, I buy a lot of houses from this particular agent as well, so it works well that way as also. So there's just good ways to get your properties marketed. If you want full exposure, the MLS, of course, is going to help with that. But Zillow is huge. I mean, in the Craigslist, I still get tons of calls from both of those venues. So don't discount those. Always, and that's free. So always get all your properties on Craigslist and Zillow. It's free. So.
And don't we sometimes try that for a week before we even do the listing?
Yes, and sometimes I'll do that to like pre-market the properties before I do any listings, and sometimes we sell them. Sometimes before the properties are even complete with the rehab. It's happened in many cases. So marketing is key in getting the deal flow as far as buying properties and selling them. And of course, we can go to marketing with the bandit signs. Of course, that we buy houses in any condition. How many times we got to beat that to death, but it works. I mean, it's pretty inexpensive compared to some other avenues of advertising you can do. I mean, we've tried billboards, spent a lot of money on billboards, and got very little response on that avenue. So I know mail order is huge right now. We've tried it just a couple times and didn't have that good of success with it, but I know some people that are. The key is what kind of mailing list are you going to get, and who are you going to get it from, that it's a qualified list, and what type of list, and how updated is the list. Okay, so if you're going to do a mail order program, not mail order, but a mailing program to find buyers, you want to make sure that you got a good list.
Or to find sellers too. They've got them for vacant, people who own houses that are vacant.
Right. So.
David, you down.
Is there any questions right now? Julie's on the iPad there. She can take, if anybody's got any questions, we can answer for you. Pardon?
So there's 18 people online. I don't see any questions.
All right. As far as marketing and finding deals, also, there's many different people. Of course, you want to tell everybody what you do, of course. Get some business cards made. Just recently, a guy that does some of our landscape for us on the house, makes them real pretty up, to market the properties. Does some nice curb appeal. And recently, he's given me a couple of properties. He does a lot of, just landscape. He does lawn service, like a weekly lawn service. And he recently gave me a property in a good area. It was, he was mowing the lawn for somebody, and the person had passed away, and the sister was there, taking care of the house and still having cut the lawn. And she says, I need to get rid of this house. And of course, he thought of me. And I locked up that deal, and it happened to be an estate sale. She thought she had the right to sell it, but it did have to go through the attorney and go back in front of the judge a couple times. That deal actually took about 7 to 9 months before I could actually buy it. But I locked it up. It's such an awesome deal. I just recently finished a rehab on it. It's on the market now. We sold it, within about, we usually sell ours within a couple weeks. Say, we get offers on them. Of course, if it's an FHA mortgage, it takes time to close, right? But I recently got another deal from the same landscaper, and it was a good deal. And I actually I wholesaled that property for a very nice return on this. And of course, I give that guy, I give the landscaper a referral fee every time he finds a deal that I buy. And of course, you should do the same for anybody that brings you a deal. That you got to give them a bird dog fee or some kind of fee for bringing you a good deal, right? But he's brought me two. He just called me. Actually, he called me again yesterday, and the lady's got 4 houses for sale that she wants to get rid of. Her husband passed away, and she's elderly, and I'm supposed to meet with her later this week. And
Sorry.
see, hold on, Julie's got a.
Well, there was a couple things. First, someone asked, how do you keep track of everything? So I wasn't sure, someone else said like software, or no, it's the same person, software systems. So keeping track of everything.
Well, we just like made a Google Doc sheet to keep track of your call-ins. It's a good idea. It's whatever way works for you, even if you have to put it on a pad of paper. But for us, we'll make a Google Doc, and we'll put the date and the information on the property. And of course, the owner's name, phone number, and contact information. Conversation we had many times. I have a conversation with the seller, and we can't come to terms on a price today. However, if you follow up 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, people's motivation change over time. Circumstances change over time. So don't throw anything away. Keep that information and follow up. I'm not kidding you. This is the longest follow-up I've ever done. I just got a property locked up. This is the one I was wholesaling. I talked about earlier where I put signs out. I got locked up last Thursday. This guy called me 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I went and looked at the house, and we talked about it. And he goes, well, and then at the time he goes, well, maybe I'm going to hold on to it till I retire. He called me like a week ago. I was up at my cottage. He goes, I'm ready to sell it now. I said, okay, well, I'm out of town. I'll be back in next week. I'll meet you over there again, take another walk through the house. And so we did, and I was prepared. If you're going to meet with the seller, always have a contract with you. We have a simple one-page purchase agreement we use. And I wasn't leaving that house because I know he wanted to sell it. It's 2 years later, and I wasn't going to leave without a contract. Not this time. So it was a funny story, and I laughed about it. But and then, like I said, but I ended up wholesaling that one. I could have kept it. Would have been a great fix and rent, possibly fix and flip, but more of a rental market for that particular area. But would have brought a great return. But I sold it to one of my buyers, as wholesale, and they'll fix it up and then rent it out.
So someone asked if you use the 25-to-1, because someone was saying that they have, struggled with it somewhat, because sometimes you do, or some areas you do, from time to time you do. So she said, wow, 5 signs would be great. But the truth is that was 5 signs because we were kind of using them for a different purpose.
Right.
We're not traditional bandit signs, which we just put 25 on.
Right. The traditional bandit signs, we buy houses. We always put no less than 25 out in one area. What I was referring to when I put 5 signs out was to find buyers, cash buyers, or a buyer for my wholesale property, which basically that one said 3-bedroom, 1-bath, basement, must sell by Wednesday, 38,000 cash only, and the phone number. So that's a little different than we buy houses, but the same benefits. The bandit signs work, right? So I also, I think the last time we didn't make the edge this year, we had something going on, but the prior year we did talked about bandit signs and different uses for them as far as marketing, and I put it up one time, like at the outside of a Home Depot, wanted a 3 to 4 man crew to rehab homes for local investor. And I did. I ended up finding a really good contractor from putting that particular bandit sign out. So bandit signs work for many different things. So you can find buyers, you can find sellers, you can find contractors. So they do work, and they're pretty inexpensive for the return you get on them. We are going to start looking into a mail program pretty soon here, and maybe we'll touch base in a while and let you know how that goes. But I've talked to a few people that have been pretty confident in getting a good return, on their mailings. In fact, oddly enough, that we're doing this today, I get this postcard in the mail today. It says, we pay top dollar. We buy as is. We can close quickly, and we promise not to waste your time. With dear property owner, my name is, we'll say John Doe, and I'm interested in buying your home. My wife and I want to purchase another rental property in the neighborhood, and we can offer you top dollar because of our buy and hold approach. So if you're interested in learning how we can sell fast, avoiding the typical costs associated with selling through a real estate agent, commissions, repairs, lowering your price, just to name a few, then you'll want to call me as soon as possible, and blah, blah, blah. But I just thought that was funny. It was addressed to a particular home that I recently bought about 7 weeks ago, so he's a little late. But oddly enough, I get these in the mail once in a while. You know, people say that, but again, I will call him because maybe he is a cash buyer that wants investment homes, and I could wholesale him a property. So I would not throw that away. But I thought it was just odd that I did receive this today as we're doing this broadcast about marketing. So there's just another way to get buyers, right? You know, if you're buying houses, people may be sending you postcards like that. So I will keep it, and we will contact him and see if he's a real buyer. So a lot of different marketing strategies out there, and of course we didn't even get into talking about Google ads or other social media, which I haven't done a lot of. I'll post my stuff just on Facebook. I've never did the paper ads yet. We might try that as well, but and then there's LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, but I haven't really took the time to try to see if you can actually get real buyers on there. I'm sure you probably can. There's a lot of people on there. And is there any feedback? Has anybody had any success using LinkedIn for buying or selling homes, or getting some buyers on their buyers list? Let us know. I just one thing I haven't really got into doing yet. We're getting ready. We got to hire some more people here. We're pretty swamped, and that's the other thing. Running a business like this, you can get bogged down with paperwork and stuff. So we really want to, streamline things a little more as our business grows. It's basically me and Julie. We had one assistant, and then of course we've got our contracting crews that work for us. So we're probably doing a little more than we need to be doing. So we're going to be working on that shortly here. Okay, we've got another question.
Well, it looks like her name is Isabel. Her purchase agreement is 12 to 13 pages long. If I use my LLC, I had to include the articles, which you don't have to in the purchase agreement, obviously, plus the generated POF, which again doesn't have to be in your purchase agreement. I get some people who directly dismiss these POFs.
That's okay. We just had a question. We want to talk about a long purchase agreement.
Right,
Yeah.
because she's including her articles of incorporation, and she's also including her POF.
Okay, well, that sounds like you're trying to present, if you're including your articles of organization and your proof of funds, and it's a long 12 or 13 page purchase agreement. To me, that sounds like that's something you're purchasing through a real estate agent or maybe a bank-owned property. Of course, when we do buy through a realtor, they're going to use their purchase agreements, which are the 12 or 13 pages. What I was referring to in mine, one page simple, is when I'm dealing direct with a owner seller of a home. I have a simple one page contract. But yes, if you're doing, if you have an offering with a realtor, they're going to have their contract, and then usually they want a proof of funds, and usually the article of organization doesn't usually come in until after if the offer's been accepted, and that's usually in the closing docs. There's not so much for the purchase agreement. I never had to provide that for a purchase agreement until it's actually going to closing, and the title company needs to see that.
I'm not sure I understand this question. I have a buyer who is wanting to pass several of his props over to me. So I guess that's a seller. Just to find out that the way he's making a profit is to talk the sell down 15 to 20,000 less than the asking price. Is that a good way to make offers and profits? And I just don't think I understand the question.
Yeah, Julie's got a question here. I'm not sure we understand what you're talking about.
Somebody who, Jennifer,
Jennifer,
if you could clarify
can you
maybe.
clarify maybe what you mean exactly on that question, please?
I can maybe type it. Okay. Let's see.
So in the meantime, anyway, while we wait if we can get a clarification on that question, just to go over as far as, marketing and what other ways you can market properties. Of course, there's always flyers you can put up. I've seen post-it notes, we buy houses. I actually got some other we buy houses signs that are a little smaller, they're like 12 by 12. And sometimes I might use those to blanket like a subdivision, the exits of a subdivision, not so much on a main road, but just something more, a little more low key. That's not, the big ones that we normally use. So just someone pulling out of a subdivision, you might see that. And so we're actually testing those now. But normally you want to stick with what's tried and true for your normal, which are, I forgot the size now, of our bandit signs. Are they,
I don't know what they are.
so it's like 24 by 24 in that range. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, but
We've been doing it for so long, it's,
right. But I have one out in the garage. I can go get it.
I think everybody.
But that's just tried and true. Those are the regular size as far as putting bandit signs on the road. You want the big ones. Little ones can be used for other purposes. Put them on bulletin boards. The gas station. Sometimes I'll stop and get gas myself. I'll pull out a business card. The back of my business card. Here, one right here. That's the front, and on the back simply says, "We buy houses." I might put those up somewhere on that side, like when I go to get gas, I'll stick them in the the crack between the window and the pump. Whatever, I just put them different places sometimes. Why not, right? Can't hurt. So there's just all different kinds of marketing you can do, but Zillow and Postlets and Craigslist. I'm sorry, not Postlets. Zillow and Craigslist is just huge because it's free, right? So.
So it looks like I have more questions.
Put those out no matter what you do. There's another question.
Well, and now Isabel, again, is the one who said she had the long purchase agreement. And of course, you do have to show your articles to verify, but you don't have to have it in part of your purchase agreement. It doesn't have to be as, part of the.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe certain realtors want, I'm talking about supplying your articles of organization with a purchase agreement. Maybe, I don't know if somebody's asking you for that, but I've never ever done that. And we've done thousands of purchase agreements. So Michigan could be different. I don't know.
We end up showing it. It's just not
Right.
part of the purchase. It's not part of the.
Yeah, no, like the articles of organization, like I said, for us, don't come into play until you're going to closing. The title company wants to see that. Or maybe the lender wants to see it if it's a bank-owned property or something like that. But normally my realtor's never asking me for that. That's usually towards going towards the closing of the home to buy it.
Another question, again, is a lot of this is kind of like numbers that people are using. If the wholesale deals are supposed to be 50% of the ARV, why are we throwing out 70% on the 25-to-1 to start? I got one who was almost there, but starting at 70% had us at a loss. So we're not necessarily using those kind of formulas.
Yeah, I mean, as far as talking about the numbers of offering at 70%, I guess we're talking about maybe making offers at 70% of the asking price, which these days, if it's a bank-owned property, if it's a listing that just came out in our area, they're asking retail for a bank-owned property that needs work. I don't even know. It would, in my opinion, the property would not even appraise at what they're asking for. You actually have to wait for several price reductions in order to make that a good deal. So yeah, it just all depends on what the after repair value is of that property that you're going to lock up, and is there some meat on the bone left for your wholesale buyer? Excuse me, because there's got to be enough room for him to be able to rehab it and make money on it. If it's a flip, or the numbers got to work if he's going to fix it and rent it out. Either way, you've got to make sure that you got it locked up based on what the value of that house actually is, not what the seller list price is, because that could be so skewed that it's not even funny these days. There's, like, for example, there could be a house that just came out on the listings I get that's a bank-owned property, and say they're listing it for $100,000. The house would barely appraise at 100 if it was totally rehabbed, yet they're asking $100,000 for it, and it needs a total rehab. So I don't know what the thinking of the banks are on that. I think my thought is, I think they think there are so many investors that are not knowledgeable that have cash. They just think, oh, if it's a bank-owned property, it must be a good deal. I'll buy it, right? And so maybe that works for them. I don't know exactly their purpose on that, but they start high and come low. But it takes time, for them to lower the price. You just have to keep your eye on that property, and when it has a price reduction, we reoffer.
I think the percentages are kind of a guide, because different areas are going to be different. So you might start at 70% or whatever,
Right.
and then see that it works or it doesn't work, and you adjust it accordingly to where you are, what the market is. So I
Right,
think
so I
that's
don't-
kind of a gauge when you're getting started, so
What do you want?
that you can get your.
I don't know if they can hear you back there.
Oh.
You should. Yeah, so I don't know, Julie was saying that 70% rule, that's a good gauge. Depends on your area where you're at. Like I said, you really got to look at what is the after repair value? What is that house actually worth? What will it sell for after it's rehab, based on, what the asking price is and what you can pick it up for. So
I got another question.
a lot of variables is, are starting points to put offers in. And then if that's not working, if you're getting them locked up too easy, then you got to lower your price and ask less.
It's strictly opposite. So I have a seller who wants to sell the house and wants me, the buyer, to handle evicting the current tenant. Now, that's one thing, but it's a little more complicated for him, because the tenant is his sister, the owner's sister, and the house is in a trust and she's not on the trust.
Right.
So I don't know that we can speak about the trust, but just as far as
Right.
having.
Well, we're talking about purchasing homes. The seller wants to sell it with a tenant in there, and they want you to do the eviction. That brings up a great point, because lately it seems like a lot of these auction sites now that we used to buy properties on, which we still would, but a lot more, I'm seeing it so much more, that they are selling properties tenant occupied. Okay, and so you have to actually buy that. In some of those properties on the auction sites, you can't even get in to see them. You're buying them sight unseen, tenant occupied. I mean, unless you've got some inside scoop on that home, from a neighbor, or you've been in the house before or something, it's a little risky, because one, if you can't get inside the house to see what it looks like, that's one. But if you can, and you just have to do the eviction, just to make sure, get a copy of the lease, the current lease in place, and let your attorney look at it. And we, of course, we're in the real estate business. We all had to do evictions now and then, right? It's not the fun part, but we usually let our attorney handle all of that. And if her lease, especially if the lease is getting ready, if she's not paying, it's in Michigan here, it doesn't take that long to get somebody out. If it's a lease, I mean, if you're buying a property from a bank and they have a mortgage on it, that might be something different, because you might have to, go through like a foreclosure process, which would take quite a bit longer, as opposed to just doing an eviction on a leased tenant. So that's a very good point. So what you can do is you can lock up that house and get it under contract. And you can put it subject to your attorney reviewing the file, or your attorney reviewing the lease agreement, and something like that. But you know, you can still put it under contract and give yourself time for the inspection, or something like that, where your attorney needs to view the contract. But yeah, that's a great point. So
I don't have any more questions.
no more questions right now? I guess also they have questions later. I think we can go back in maybe tomorrow or something, and go back in and answer the questions in the next few days. But I hope this has helped you guys a little bit in the marketing. But this is stuff we do every day. So I hope you guys are out there getting some good deals. And if there's anything I can do for you, leave us a message and we'll respond to it in the Google Hangout chat here. And no more questions right now. I guess we'll call it a night. Sorry for the delay in the broadcast. Technical issues. It seems to follow me. I don't know why, but we'll get through it. And thanks for listening tonight. And I hope everybody has a great evening and enjoy your summer and go get some deals. Thank you. Good night.